What is it about dragons that you love? Because you love talking about dragons. Like, what is it about it?
Dragon, show yourself.
I really like dragons.
Hey everybody, this is Nesto from Blank Trigger Gamers, and today I have an interview with Aseriana. Aseriana, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Aseriana, and I'm a streamer on Twitch. And in real life, I am a stay-at-home mom and just a lifetime fantasy and horror fan. Not just video games, but books and everything.
All right, let's start right there. How did you get into video games?
So I'm the youngest, and I have 3 older brothers, and they always had video games since I was born. We had Atari and NES and everything like that. So I just basically grew up playing the games that my brothers played. I did everything with my brothers, and eventually, I got old enough to where I was like, hey, give me my own games too. I want to play different things. But really, for the most part, I enjoyed playing the same games as my brothers. One of my brothers in particular that's 10 years older than me, we just are into all of the same things. I mean, he got me into fantasy novels. He's the one that handed me my Dragonlance novel. Whenever I was like a tween, he was like, here you go, Dragonlance, here you go, Dune. And, he gave me all of these like D&D video games on the NES that I would play and things like that. So that kind of, honestly, he in particular really shaped a lot of the things that I was into.
What drew you to fantasy, I guess? I
think that it is especially the creativity and imagination. As an adult, I guess I can more precisely articulate things as, I really love world building. The more fantastical the journey, the more I'm into it, the more I love it. That's why I love dragons, like so fantastical. And I love, the origins of why people thought dragons were real and things like that. I just really love the creativity that goes into it and the fact that it's so far apart from the reality that we live in.
I think that's what gets most people into like fantasy and video games. And it's just like that kind of like, oh, this is a whole new world. This is so cool, Yeah,
it's a huge bit of escapism for most people.
So you mentioned dragons. What is it about dragons that you love? Because you love talking about dragons. Like, what is it about it?
Dragon, show yourself. Toothless, no, put it down.
I really like dragons. And as a kid, I used to like, when you're little and you find something that you fixate on and you like try to draw like a million of those things in your notebooks at school or covered, it was always dragons. My notebooks at school were always covered in drawings of dragons. And I've always found it really interesting, and I really find it interesting how different fantasy worlds depict dragons because they're vastly different. Some of them, they're intelligent. Some can shapeshift into, humanoid forms. Some are just basically monsters. There's just such a variety in storytelling about dragons. And like I said, I really enjoy the origins of dragons, that people found these huge bones. And they're we know now these were probably dinosaurs, but and they were like, what could this possibly be? Right. This is a nightmare. So I just, from start to finish, I just really think that it's just fun. It's, there's some fascination there, but also it's just fun. It's a lot of fun.
And then you mentioned horror. How did you get into the horror? Because fantasy and horror are kind of like, they kind of interwove sometimes.
I didn't come by my family either. No one else in my family likes horror. My brothers are not particularly into horror. I remember my middle brother being terrified of Poltergeist.
They're here.
When we were kids, and it just didn't bother me at all. And I always liked horror, and the closest thing to it I remember as a kid really being into that maybe gave me a hint of me liking horror was how much I liked Gremlins. I really was into Gremlins because there was not a lot that I could watch on my own since my family wasn't really into horror. But when I was a preteen and a teenager, when I went to my friends' houses, that's like all we did, especially in the summers. We would just go to like Blockbuster and we would just load up on all of like the $1 movies that were in the horror section. Usually they were like super B 80s movies. And that would be all that we would do all summer. We would just watch these horror movies. And, eventually Resident Evil came out, the original Resident Evil games. And we got a hold of those, and we would play those too.
Nice.
I mean, it's definitely not what people thought of teenage girls doing in the late 90s, just sitting, sitting around and sleepovers. All of us were sitting in sleepovers in our pajamas, playing Resident Evil 3.
That's awesome. It's really weird because like with horror, it's always like, I don't know, it's like something gets your interest and then you just kind of dive deep. It's not like something where like someone kind of draws you into it, I guess. Like with other things, it's just you kind of just go into it.
I think you do have to have like a certain kind of personality maybe, because there's a lot of people that's like, there's not like a gateway. I don't think there's a gateway horror movie. Like if you are going to like it, you just will. I don't think that you can convince someone to like it. I'm married and my husband does not like horror movies. And I try so hard to get him to watch things. I tried to get him to watch The House on Haunted Hill Netflix series that came out, because I love that. That was so good. I watched it like 4 times and then I was like, I want to make him watch this with me. And I did get him to watch it with me, and he did admit that it was good. And then whenever the new one came out, the House of or The Haunting of Bly Manor is what it's called. He was like, no, I'm not going to watch it. It's too scary. He was like, I did one for you and I won't do the next one.
He's like, too much.
Like, I already took one for the team. I'm not going to do this again.
What was the thing that made you become a streamer?
So I would never have done this because I'm really introverted and I get pretty anxious speaking in front of people. And like, I was never like the kid that would ever want to give my presentation in front of people in class. Never. Like it made me have a nervous breakdown. But I don't live near any of my family. And one of my brothers kept telling me that he wanted me to stream because he missed sitting down and watching me play video games and playing video games with me. And he was like, please, you should try streaming, and then I can just watch the video games you're playing and then we can talk about it, because he doesn't play the same kind of games as me, but we always liked watching each other play the different games that we wouldn't necessarily want to play ourselves, but are still fun to watch. Because he's super into Halo and StarCraft. StarCraft is more in my wheelhouse, but Halo is not in my wheelhouse. I'm not like into that kind of game at all. But I still like watching him play that kind of thing. And so I started streaming just for him. And I think that he was the only one that watched me stream for a while.
That's cool.
But I just kind of, I don't know, I guess I just started to really enjoy it. And especially because I don't necessarily have a lot of people that are in my real life around me all of the time that are into the same things as I am. So especially like Dragon Age, for example, a lot of my followers came from my Dragon Age playthroughs, and I'm a huge Dragon Age fan. No one I know really likes Dragon Age. Even if they played it, they're not like really, they're like, oh yeah, it was good. But they don't want to talk about Dragon Age all the time. They do not. But I really have found a lot of comfort and a lot of friendships through just being able to play Dragon Age and talk to people who really enjoy Dragon Age or enjoy some of the other games that I'm playing. And that has really, for me, like that's the reward. Like anything else that comes from streaming at this point, the biggest thing for me has been the friendships that I've gained and being able to actually talk to people that share the same interests.
I think like you streaming Dragon Age was actually my first introduction. I've heard about it, but I've never I didn't know the world was so big and there was so much. There
are full-on YouTube channels dedicated to tinfoil conspiracy theories about Dragon Age lore. There are multiple. There are many of them. I probably can't even count how many there are. That is how big it is.
So I know you mentioned that you're a mom and you play games. So I gotta ask, this is like advice to everyone. How do you balance being a mother and playing games?
I usually don't play games when my kids are awake.
Okay.
There are exceptions. Sometimes like on the weekend, if everyone is just kind of like the kids burned out from school and my husband just wants to like vegetate. If everyone's vegetating, I might play video games. Usually either something that they can watch, something that's kid appropriate, or like I'll play a PC game and then everyone else will be in the other room. But generally, I play games after whenever they're sleeping, because it's just, especially when they're little. My oldest is 8 now, so it's more like she'll sit and watch things, but my littlest just turned 3. So she's like, oh, you want to play a video game? I'm going to body slam you. It's not really practical. And when they're awake, I generally just want to spend time with them. I'm really like, I'm one of those people that was always like, I'm going to be a mom someday.
Okay.
So I really do like spending time with my kids, and generally, if I'm playing a game, it's something that they want to watch. And my oldest does ask me to watch, or she asks me to play games with me or with her. Like I gifted her actually her first gaming PC this year.
That's cool.
For her birthday, and I loaded up a bunch of games on it, and she wanted to play Trine with me.
Nice.
And she had me play Trine with her for her birthday. That's what she wanted to do, and we played Trine for like 3 hours.
I can see how like you kids want to be involved, but you can't, like you're playing Resident Evil and they're like nah, yes.
Yeah, and a lot of the games I play are mature games, so I can't play them when my kids are awake, just for that reason. And there was a long period of time whenever I was streaming The Witcher, and my oldest daughter would come down and she'd be like, are you playing The Witcher today? I can't watch, can I? No, you can't watch it. I'm sorry.
What do you want to do with streaming?
Oh, that's hard. Because I know generally people say like they want to like grow like huge and have, like 1 million subscribers or something, some like big number like that. To be honest, that gives me a little bit of anxiety. Because
understandable.
I just really enjoy talking with people on my streams. So yes, I want to grow my stream. I'd love to meet more people that are really into what I do. And I would really like eventually to be able to raise money for charities. I feel like that would be like the peak for me, to be big enough to be able to raise money for charities, but still small enough to be able to actually talk with everybody. Because sometimes you go on someone's stream that's a huge streamer and they have thousands of people viewing.
And it's just flying.
You can't even keep up with it. And I'm like, that would just make me like, my heart would just be beating so fast and I wouldn't know what to do. And then I would feel guilty because I wouldn't be able to keep up with everybody. But like I said, what I get out of streaming right now is just being able to talk with people and talk with people about the things that I like. So it's hard to think like really grand. I guess my dreams are not super grand compared to other people at this point. Maybe that will change in the future, but right now I'm just kind of enjoying the ride.
I've asked you all the questions I want for this interview, but I always have 2 questions at the end for every interviewee. So the 2 questions, the first one is, if you could pick any game franchise or anything, which one is the one that, or game, which one do you not like? Like you just can't, it's not your thing.
Which one is not my thing? Call of Duty.
That's
pretty easy.
You're the 3rd person that said this.
In general, I'm not into war games and realistic games. Like if it's like realistic gore, but it's a horror game and it's zombies, like that's not real. But I don't really like go into Afghanistan and shoot some people, shoot some Afghanistan. Like, no, I don't want to do that. And I kind of, I don't know, my exposure to that culture is not very vast, I will admit it, but it seems like kind of an aggressive fan base. I'm much more into the people that are like, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel where I wear my tinfoil hat and we talk about lore.
What's a video game that you can pick up and play anytime? Like it's a game that's timeless to you, that you always will fall in love with every time you play it.
There are a few. There are a few, honestly. I won't say Dragon Age because we've talked about Dragon Age. But Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider games, Tomb Raider 2 in particular. I was very obsessed with the original Tomb Raider games until they had the Angel of Darkness games that we really shouldn't talk about. I think that they've returned to form with the remakes, but the older games still really hold up. I credit Tomb Raider 2 with why I'm afraid of the ocean.
Oh, wow.
Because there's an ocean level where there's great white sharks and all you have is a harpoon gun. And
Oh,
after
yeah, I
playing
remember
that, I
that.
was like, I couldn't even go into a swimming pool without thinking that there was a great white shark.
Oh, jeez.
But
Yeah.
but no, I love Tomb Raider. I love the Tomb Raider games, but in particular, Tomb Raider 2 is just so classic.
So, Aseriana, I want you to plug everything that you have, which you like social media or Twitch, whatever you got. Where can they find you?
So I'm on Twitch and Instagram. Technically, I'm on Facebook. I honestly am not very active. And I'm on Twitter, and it's Aseriana, Aseriana on everything.
Awesome. All right, everyone, go follow her. Go check her out. Go talk some Dragon Age, dragons, zombies, all that
Dragons
stuff.
always welcome. Always.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. I want to thank Aseriana again, and I will see you all next time. Later.
Bye.
Hey, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you so much for sticking through to the end. I know it's a long video, but there's some good stuff in there, and I'm glad you stuck all the way through it. I just want to say thank you again to the person I interviewed.
Aseriana.
I want to thank them for coming on to my channel and doing this interview with me. I really like sharing people's stories. It's really awesome. If you like this video, then give us a like. And if you want to see more, then subscribe to our channel. So until next time, everyone, later.